Ambassador Waschuk, how are Ukrainians reacting to the scene in the Oval Office?
I think overall, fairly defiantly, admiring the president. Tomorrow morning, someone might wonder, would there have been some way of avoiding the confrontation? But I think the initial reaction is he was speaking for nearly all Ukrainians when he said, we can't be pushed around and we deserve some respect here.
Okay, how concerned are you that Russia could be emboldened and launch an offensive given all of this?
I think it is certainly emboldened politically. Their dreams are all coming true. Are they capable of launching another offensive? No, their ground forces are considerably depleted. In fact, over the past week, it's the Ukrainians who have launched a counteroffensive in some of the towns of the Donbass, retaking parts of them. The irony here would be that politically, the Trump administration is saving the Russians at a time when, in fact, their military offensive power has almost been tapped out.
Okay, Marcus, I'd like to bring you in on the conversation. U.S. support for Ukraine has been in question since President Trump took office. What happens now to that support, do you think?
Well, look, I think Donald Trump has made very clear his position on Ukraine already since the start of the war back in 2022. Just days after Russia's full-scale invasion, Donald Trump basically said that the move was a stroke of genius and that it was quite savvy for Vladimir Putin to initiate this brutal war against Ukraine. And since then, certainly over the past 4 or 5 weeks, we've seen Donald Trump repeat Kremlin talking points and disinformation about Ukraine, suggesting that it was Ukraine that started the war, that Ukraine's democratically elected president was somehow a dictator. And so the signs have been quite clear that U.S. support would probably be ending at some point soon. And I suspect that is going to be the case. We've seen Donald Trump impose cuts across the board in terms of its foreign policy, and I think this will be the next one to suffer those cuts.
And yet, Ambassador Waschuk, Trump has positioned himself as the honest broker between two warring nations. Given what we saw today, can the U.S. still be seen in that light? Your perspective?
Not really. I think what's happened today will encourage Trump to pursue his bilateral talks with Russia, which he sees in any case as big boys playing in the big leagues. And he was trying to make a point, and I think especially J.D. Vance, who also is a longtime Ukraine skeptic, trying to make a point with Zelenskyy that you should submit. You come here begging something from us, we're going to make you show that publicly. Zelenskyy wasn't having it. And he's just not in the same situation as, let's say, Sir Keir Starmer, who is able to wave around a letter from the king and flatter Trump. Zelenskyy is dealing in literally with a life and death situation, which his American interlocutors refuse to understand.
And Ambassador Waschuk, on that note, Zelenskyy is getting some support for how he reacted and handled himself, but could there be a price that he's paying for that beyond this meeting?
Well, I think certainly a price in sort of MAGA world in Washington, where people are already saying he should resign after having disrespected his betters in the Oval Office. That's certainly not what people in Ukraine are thinking. And we're seeing a wave of supportive messages coming from European leaders, which I think come Sunday when there's a meeting in London, are going to, I think, turn into both additional money and additional military resources to plug the likely gap in American supplies and intel. I think targeting information intel from the U.S. has been key to Ukraine and its defense, and others haven't got systems that are quite as big, but there are countries like France that have their own independent systems that could be pressed into use.
And you talk about Europe already, some countries saying that they will step in to fill any gaps. But how much hesitancy do you think there could be after seeing an exchange like that, and how someone might be treated if you dare to speak out against the U.S. president and their policies?
Well, I think they're realizing that if they ever get into trouble, a real security problem, they could be treated like that too. So it's now really a matter of asserting themselves for their own sake, not just because they want to be nice to Ukraine.
Well, and Marcus, looking at now at how this might affect Canada, threatened with tariffs, with becoming a 51st state, could this be a chill factor as Canada looks to other countries for support? We seemed to see UK's Prime Minister distancing himself from Canada yesterday.
Well, we should be deeply concerned about the threats that we've already been seeing for the past few months about Canada becoming the 51st state. I think we need to stop giggling about them and start taking them very seriously. The kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump has been engaging in about our own sovereignty very closely reflects the kind of rhetoric that Vladimir Putin was engaging in before he invaded Ukraine. Now it's very clear that Donald Trump has made the decision to pull his country out of this league of Western democratic nations. And I don't think that we should necessarily rely on them to be that reliable partner that it has been for much of the last century. Things have changed grossly over the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and certainly over the past day.
All right. Well, we will certainly be keeping a close eye on this. We appreciate your time. Roman Waschuk and Marcus Kolga, thank you for this.